Is music that already exists a little bit too mainstream for you? Have you ever wanted to listen to something so cool that it doesn't even exist yet? Well, my friend, I've got some good news for you. Because today, we're writing music that doesn't even exist. And by that, of course, I mean we're going to be inventing a completely new genre. Now, there are several ways we could go about this. I've found a random word generator online. It's wordcounter.net/random word generator. Easy stuff. I'm going to be using it to generate 2 random words. Let's make them both nouns and generate random words. Icicle aftermath. So today's genre is called Icicle Aftermath. Now, there are a lot of things to consider when creating a brand new genre of music. I mean, it doesn't happen every day. What's the overall style? What's the BPM? What kind of chords does it use? Well, I figured that since we already used one random word generator, we can keep using random generators and eventually come up with something that sounds pretty decent. Now, I figure I'll start with the number first. Now, I'm just using Google's random number generator, and I've got the range set from anywhere between 75 BPM all the way up to 200 BPM. I figure that's a pretty good range of BPMs to use for really any genre of music, especially electronic, which is what this is likely going to end up being, since that's what I mostly have at my disposal. And the lucky winning number is 117. And finally, for the chord progression that's going to define all Icicle Aftermath music for the rest of eternity, I'm on a website called chordchord.com that generates 4 random chords in any key that you want. Now, unfortunately, I had to choose the key instead of generating a random one. I suppose I could have done that too, but that's just an extra step. I figure my name is Adrian, it starts with an A, so this is going to be in the key of A. Now, that's not really necessarily the standard for Icicle Aftermath music, because after all, this is only the first song ever written in this genre, but this will be the jumping off point. Now, I have the key of A chosen here, so I'm just going to hit generate and see what it gives me. Okay, I can work with this. A major 7th, F sharp minor 7th, E, and F sharp minor 7th again. So here we have our genre information. It's called Icicle Aftermath. This particular song is going to be in 117 BPM. It's in the key of A, and the chord progression is A major 7th, F sharp minor 7th, E, and F sharp minor 7th once again. I've also determined that it's going to be at least a semi-electronic genre, because that's the tools that I have available to me, but we'll see what happens as this video progresses. Now, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to the name Icicle Aftermath. What exactly does that mean? Does it mean the aftermath of an icicle, or does it mean an icicle and then aftermath? It's really all up for interpretation, because this is just something that I'm creating. It can be anything that I want it to. When I think of Icicle Aftermath, I imagine an icicle that goes on a rampage, an angry icicle, and what's left is the aftermath, essentially. And we are writing sort of a score, I guess, to show what happened when this icicle got angry. Now, obviously, with icicles, they're gonna be cold. And I figured the best kind of sound for cold is this piano, where the timbre is set to have more higher tones so that you get a more cold sound as opposed to a warm, full sound. So it sounds like this. Now, there's only so much that an icicle can actually do as far as rage goes, and in fact, usually the aftermath of an icicle is that it goes from being an icicle to being a puddle of water on the ground, and some people might actually find that quite beautiful. So what I may do is turn this into a somber, reflective, but still quite beautiful sounding piece. So now, with all of that being said, I think we're ready to start laying down a little bit of an intro. Okay, so I think that sounds pretty much like the icicle part of Icicle Aftermath. Now I think it's time to bring in the aftermath. Now, like I had mentioned before, I don't think the aftermath of an icicle would be all of that dramatic. However, it would be dramatically different from an icicle itself. And since I have no interest in putting you guys to sleep today, I think I'm gonna make the aftermath bit more upbeat. I started by taking a bunch of drum samples and stretching them out so that they didn't quite sound natural anymore, and in fact, almost sounded like industrial machinery rather than drums themselves. I then took a brass sample and played with that a little bit, added a little bit of bass underneath it, and then added a little bit of a shimmer on top. And then we got this chorus. For the bridge, I wanted to slow things down a little bit and give a different kind of wonderment than the intro gave us. So I decided a somber and reflective piano introducing a different kind of chord progression was a good way to go for that. Now, as for the lyrics, I decided to do the exact same thing that got us in this mess to begin with, generate some random ones. After all that was done, all that was left to do was add a few finishing touches, and thus was born a track that I like to call Flower-like. Now, if you enjoy this track, guys, please leave me a like down below, and if you really love it, then give me a subscribe. Both of those things really help me grow my channel. But without further ado, my friends, please enjoy a track that I like to call Flower-like. Your words cut deeper than a birch tree. You don't